Welcome everybody to the first ever Talk Around Town. I'm Geoff Edwards from here in the music scene, and we got Mr. Scott Hall here with us too.
Hey, Geoff.
How's it going,
Glad to
Scott?
be with you. Man, I'm so excited about this. Going great.
I
I'd
know.
love to talk to musicians and people that are in the music biz, and I think it's going to be a great collaboration we've got going here.
Yeah,
Sounds fun.
this would be fun. Hopefully, we can get a lot more people in and do this more often. So
Yeah, it looks like we're working on the technology, folks. So know that. Everybody's a little technologically challenged, and I'm working on it on my end. Jeff's done a lot of work on his end putting this together. So thank you, Jeff, for that.
you bet.
So
Yeah,
what
this
are
is
we gonna?
interesting. It's a work in progress, but it'd be nice if we could actually maybe set up a studio one day and actually do this, have some couches and sit around and have people come in and actually maybe perform a little bit even.
Yeah, you're in your music room, and it looks like,
I
at least what I'm
am.
seeing in the background, and I'm in my studio that we do our live stuff from, and that here in Springboro. So I'd love to do that, and I love that laid back thing of getting people in and just relaxing and having some chats with them and getting their feeling on the music scene and what's going on out there. And we've got a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on.
There is. There is. So what's going on with you?
Well, we're into the month of December here, and that's a busy month musically. Normally, busy month. The COVID has certainly impacted that, and all the things we would normally do out in the biz and being able to sit down with people and do live interviews from places are just kind of not happening right now. So we've resorted to this platform here that we're doing, and you guys are joining us. This is not live. We're doing this and recording it, and then it's obviously going to be posted on many platforms. And Jeff, thank you for putting that together
Sure
and
thing.
recording this thing again, man. It's a cool thing to do, and there's so much we can talk about that's going to help the music community. And that's kind of what our angle is here. What I do at Hall Around Town Radio is try to support the local music community. And right now, the venues need support. Everybody needs support. The musicians, Jeff, your band's. It's tough to book a band right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's been rough. I just reached out a couple days ago to 4 or 5 new venues and even other venues where I was scheduled, and I've lost bookings and different things like that. And I keep getting the same answer back of, "Oh, not right now. Well, we'll see. We're just going to see how it goes," or I'm just taking it a couple weeks at a time. We actually I just got picked up another gig last minute because that's kind of how some of these venues are booking. They said, "Hey, can you play Saturday?" And so, Rob and I are going to go in there unplugged and play Saturday at a venue. So that's just kind of how it keeps going. So,
A lot of people doing last minute stuff, little pop up gigs for because a band cancels due to illness or something to that effect, or the venue's a little afraid to try to put a bigger act up because of money. And I get that, because their people are just not going out as much, and that's a shame. But I do get it. I mean, there are people who are afraid of this symptoms and the things that go on with COVID, and they're scared to go out. And I don't ever judge anybody for that. It's your life, and you can pick what you want to do. I don't know about you, but I've seen you play. I saw you play this weekend. You guys sounded great, but again, crowds are not as big as they used to be.
thanks. Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, it's it gets a little frustrating. We come into some of these venues and they expect us to perform this high level, which of course we want to do, and we want to give them the best show that we can. But sometimes when the crowd's just not there, it makes it even more difficult for us to get into it. So that's one of the
What's
drawbacks.
so you're doing a lot of neat things. I mean, you've developed in the last few years some new concepts. You've been in several bands. You started out here in the area, I guess, with Shadow Life, didn't you? Maybe somebody even before that I don't know about.
Oh no! Before that, well, I got here originally in 2006, so came here, got stationed here in 2006. Probably a year or two after that, finally got into a band, and we played a lot around McGuffey's because that's where we were. So a little bit of heavier stuff. We didn't, just one of those. You go in, you open, and that's it. You roll out. Did get to play with some pretty good groups though. Before they kind of got their start, so that was kind of cool. But so I've been with them, and then I was with another group up in Springfield called 9 Volt, and when I joined them, I mean they were packing the place. I mean we would pack a place so full that we would take the door over getting a guarantee any day of the week. So
Wow.
Oh yeah, and we'd walk out of there sometimes with $1,500 in just a small venue.
Don't tell the IRS.
Well, that was between a bunch of people. So, but
Yeah.
that was then, and then I was with them for almost 10 years. And right there towards the end is when I joined Shadow Life, which brought me more down to the Dayton area. And then quit doing 9 Volt as much because it just, that the venues up there kind of dried up. They didn't want to pay. People aren't coming out. And I watched the crowds just disappear. The same crowds that used to come see us show after show after show, they just don't come out as much. Not everybody wants to go spend their weekends in a bar, You do that for so many years and it's kind of enough's enough. So joining Shadow Life was great because we were hitting so many new venues, so many different places. And then I started to see the same thing with them, people not coming out as much, the music's changing. And if you're not changing, my thing is if you're not changing and adapting to your audience and your crowd, then you're going to become irrelevant. It's just like with any other business. So if you're not changing with the times and giving people what they want, then you're going to be obsolete. And
we were talking about that the other night as you were at Mr. Burroughs there and we were chatting on the break. It's interesting because you see a lot of bands, and I see a bunch, and some of them never change their set list. You go see them 3 or 4 times, gets to the point where you're like, okay, I know what the next song is. And that is not what's going on with the crowds right now. And I think that's where you take these bands that you've seen for years and years, and they had huge followings, and it just starts to fall off. And it's nothing against the band. Their quality's still just as good, probably better because they've been doing these songs for 20 years. But the crowd is just like, I'm kind of over it. I'm ready for something new. And what I notice about you is you guys change that set list in Route 88 at least all the time. I mean, I've never heard the same show twice.
Well, and that's really been a big push on my part. I think that was kind of the downfall of 9 Volt. We went from packing places out and making good money to hardly having anybody there and hardly wanting to get booked. And then I started to honestly see it some with Shadow Life, where I've had venue owners come up and say, "Oh, I can tell you what the next song's going to be." You guys, when's the last time you've changed anything? And so those types of things really stuck with me to say, I can't do that. You can't stay stagnant in the band. And I know being in a cover band, everybody wants to play the songs that they love. You want to play, oh, I really love this song, but the crowd may not love that song, So that's the one thing that I've always taken with Route 88. That's the thing that we've always done with them is we test it out. If we bring a new song in, we try it out. If it doesn't work at one venue, maybe it'll work at another venue. So then we'll try it at 2 or 3 different places. And if it doesn't go over at all ever, then that song's got to go. And then you've got to bring something in to replace it. And there's a lot of stuff that some of the guys don't really care to do. And the same with me. There's stuff that I don't like to do. But if the crowd loves it, I'll play it. That's what it is more often than not. So
that's what it's all about. It's about appealing to the group that's there, and every venue is so different.
Oh,
the
yes.
demographic in a venue can change even from week to week, and you got to read that crowd, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. So when I saw you Friday night, and then headed up north to Inglewood to play a show Saturday night, completely different bar. we played in a bar that's normally a heavy rock bar, and took our music in there and did the country stuff, and we did, the 80s kind of poppy stuff, and then we did the rock stuff. And I'll tell you what, they ate up every bit of it. And it's always a variety. That's the big thing too, is because I watch the crowd and I want to see if this table over here is singing to this song, and then this table on the other side singing to another song, and then somebody way in the back is singing to something else, then I know that they all like different music, and so I don't ever play one genre back to back to back to, I don't play a whole set of all rock music, all country music. So that's, just trying to keep the crowd happy. That's what you're
I
trying
love
to do.
to tell musicians that, because you see, we see a lot of new up and coming musicians, people that are just starting to play out, and you see them and I see them.
Right.
And if I could give them one piece of advice, it's look up from the guitar. Look out at the audience and see what's making them happy and what's not making them happy. There are songs you could miss chords, you can be off key on, you can do all kinds of things as a new artist. But if you're connecting with the audience and they're into what you're doing, or they're singing the words to that song, that cover you're doing, it means so much, and it says that you're appealing and you're going to keep them there. And that's the mark of a pro. When people get to the point where they can read their crowd and say, no, we're going to cut this from the set list tonight because it's just not that kind of crowd, I think that's the mark of a pro musician, don't you?
I think that's putting you definitely on the right track. And if you just keep doing that, then you will definitely find the recipe that makes what you're doing, successful. So,
and I'm a music, I call it a fanatic. I go out, I like to see, and I never try to judge. I always try to look at those bands and think, especially the new ones and the people that are just putting it together, it might be the first time they've ever done that song together publicly. And saw a band, Top Secret, down at Heather's not too long ago, and they played 2 tunes that they had only practiced once and put them into their set list, which is pretty gutsy when you're talking about a band that's got 8 people in it.
right.
And, that was gutsy, but it's just a good thing to see happening out there, and they're trying to interject new things. And this is a funky R&B band who's playing Steve Miller, going back and doing Fly Like an Eagle and some of those things. So, it's really cool to see bands read the crowd and say, I've got to add some things to my set list to make it work.
And those guys have been doing it a while, so they know.
Yeah.
They're good people. I like Dimples and Flash and all those guys. Man, and there are some killer musicians in that group. So
you talk about pros right there. Those guys. And what's funny to watch them, I saw them post a video of their practice, and they were doing this song Belle Biv DeVoe, Poison. And they were putting that together. And to see them changing it up and say, no, let's do this part, let's throw this in there, as they're putting this live video out there, which is gutsy enough at practice. And then to see it come together so fast, because each and every one of those people just pick up on it and play it like they've played it their whole life. And it was really cool to see. And that's the mark of a good musicianship in a band. And there are so many great artists out there in the tri-state that we get to see and you get to see. And I'm so thrilled that we have this music community around us.
And I think one thing that they've got too is besides being fantastic musicians, is that they're humble. They appreciate their crowd. They appreciate people coming out. And that's the one thing that I've always tried to make sure that I do, because when I did first start playing, that was a big thing, that everybody thought that I was, stuck up and arrogant and whatever else. Well, it wasn't that. I just wasn't good at going out and necessarily talking to people in the crowd and engaging with the audience, even if I didn't know them. So that's one thing that I always made sure to make a point, which gets me in trouble a lot of times, because as the lead singer, right? Oh my gosh, all you're supposed to have is a microphone, and then you should be out of here in 5 minutes. What takes you so long? And I'm the last one to leave the venue. That's because I walk off the stage and I spend the next hour and a half, talking to everybody, trying to, just connect with them and see what they liked and what they didn't like, because people will tell you. If you ask them, they will tell you.
Oh, yeah. And they'll let you know if the sound's not right, or they'll let you know, I couldn't hear the lead guitar player, that kind of thing, real quick.
Oh, yes.
If you ask them, and you learn a lot from that, I think.
Yeah. And you take that with a grain, somebody, if you hear multiple people just make a ha funny that song, yeah, don't ever play that song again, as a joke. You kind of learn, okay, maybe they really don't, nobody really wants to hear that song. So
Right.
take
Well,
that.
let's change gears for a second. I want to make
Sure.
sure people know what we're going to accomplish with this thing we're doing here, this collaboration.
Sure.
As they see our little tickers scrolling under us and those kind of things about our Instagram pages and some of that. One thing that Geoff and I talked about when we said we were going to put this together is we just want to chat about topics in music, and we'd love for you to let us know topics you'd like to hear about and get our perspective on it. And we're going to bring some other people in. And Geoff, you've got a wonderful musical mind. I mean, I've talked to you enough to know that you really evaluate things, and I think that's part of what we're going to do here. We're going to take a topic and run with it and get people involved in it.
Thanks. Yes, I always look at music that way, and how can you make it better, and how can we make the community better, and how can we make the venues better, and so it's really bringing all those things together. That's what I'd love to do with this, and then yeah, just have conversations, because a lot of times when we do go to venues, that's the only time that people see us, so they don't get to know us and what we do and things like that. So
And we want to dwell on things, not the negative but the positive. But there's so many stressors out there that have to do with playing music out and booking and loading in and loading out, and things that a lot of people don't understand that come to the car clubs and the bars, and they walk in the door, they sit down, they have a drink or two, some food, they hear you play, and they leave and they say, boy, that was a fun night. But they don't know what goes into that, and many times they don't know the fact that most musicians don't do this for money.
right.
Okay, if we all were in this business for money, we'd be bankrupt.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
we'd all be
Yeah,
living in the same shelter. So
exactly.
yeah, I
And
mean, it takes a lot to put a show together. I mean, if you think about it, show up even for doing a small Route 88 gig, with just a small PA. We run ears, so we don't even bring wedges or anything like that. Everything's already been basically pre-dialed in, except for the EQ of the house, and we'll get there an hour and a half, 2 hours early, just
Oh
to
yeah.
set up. So, and then it's the same thing on the back end. It's sometimes even longer, because then you're wrapping tons of cables and trying to get everything packed. So,
And putting it back away so you can get it out right the next time, not just tossing it in a box, which
and double
you know,
checking, making sure, because you had one too many bourbons, and
which is why most musicians, when people offer, oh, we'll help you load out, no,
mm-mm.
sorry. Many a speaker has been lost due to somebody dropping it and this and that was trying to be helpful, and don't be offended by that if the band says no. We'd rather wrap our own cables and do our own thing. And speaking of that, we were talking about the pay. I saw a musician post the other day, Geoff. It was funny. He said, I've lost 10 gigs to the COVID and saved myself $500
This is true.
by not playing them. So yeah, people also don't realize
This
the
is
cost of things and the amount of microphone costs or a
oh
cable cost, and it's an enormous investment just to be able to play some live music in a club.
oh yeah. Just I mean, it will take me years probably to recoup just what I've spent in gear alone. I've started making my own mic cables and different things like that, which does help, but it's all that stuff it adds up. And then you go and then you eat, So a lot of times you'll eat at the venue or you'll drink at the venue, and some venues
Your
will
family's
give us
there.
what's that?
Your family's there. You're paying that tab too.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, basically you're paying to play. And when I
Hmm.
first started, when I had, when my boys were young, I mean, I paid the babysitter. I had to pay a babysitter probably double actually what I made in the night. So that on top of if you have a drink or anything to eat, so you're already in the hole before you even get started.
Craziness.
So
But it's the passion of music, and people that play out, they have a passion for it. Whether you're a solo guy with a guitar and a looper, or you're a full band, everybody's got the same passion, and that's to play to an audience and receive that return on investment from the people who are sitting in the audience, who give you a hand clap at the end or a woohoo or whatever.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and that means more than anything. And in today's world, also the fact that they like your social media posts and your hit your events is going and those kind of things. That's super important to a band.
Yes, that is. I mean, when you walk in, or you see the more people, as the more people just keep coming and coming and coming, that's the big return on investment there. You see people singing along, bobbing their head. Right now, chair dancing. When you see them doing those types of things, then okay, I've done my job, and it feels good. I mean, it's great. I love it. I mean,
Right.
if I could make a career out of this, then I'll absolutely do it. But
And the same people coming back makes you feel warm and fuzzy too. I think that they returned, and that means they liked you the first time or the second time or third time, and you get those band. I hate to use the term groupie, but the followers
yes,
who come to every show. They sing
right.
every word. If you do originals, they know your originals and all those things. But you're always out there striving to grab new faces and bring new people into the flock, so to speak. And it's really a cool dynamic that goes on. And we've got so much we can talk about doing this. There's so many topics, again, that people out there may not know about bands and the inner workings and songwriting and, just singing some nights, your vocal ability,
Oh, I've been there and done that where I can barely speak, and now I've got to do a show, because the last thing I want to do is cancel a show ever. I mean, I've done shows where I'll tell the guitar player, hey, play a long solo, and I'll bring a big, thermos of hot tea and honey, and just so I can try and get through the show and perform. I've done that and go and lay down on break because, I'm running a fever and I feel awful, but I don't want to cancel a gig, because especially now, if you cancel a gig, you may not get another gig. There's so many people out there. There's so many people out there dying to get that show, dying to get that gig, and as soon as you step away, then somebody else is going to snag it up.
And I hate to use the term competition, but it's more supply and demand, and there's so much supply right now and not as much demand as there used to be for music. And it's so tough for people to get steady gigs. And some people get, house gigs, they get weekly things and all that. But to really be able to bounce around the region, the tri-state area, and hit different places, it's become kind of a working battle to get booked there with this COVID. And that's going to be a whole nother topic for us to chat about, the impact COVID's had on venues, especially.
Yeah.
And, I feel for each and every venue owner. I know their pain. They are, and I owned a bar for numerous years. I can't even imagine having this happen, because you live on the edge most days anyway.
Right.
I just can't imagine having your hours cut like they have, 10 o'clock. I was doing trivia last night in a bar and at Mr. Burroughs, and here comes last call at 9:30. We're done with trivia and packing up, and I look and turn around as I'm packing equipment, and the crowd is gone.
It's ghost town.
Minute it was over, you could hear an echo in the room because there's just nobody there, and that's such a shame.
Yeah, I mean, Friday night it was the same way. We stopped playing and went back and talked to Rick for a minute and a couple other people back there talking to Rick. Walked back up front. By the time I walked back up to finish tearing down, they've already got bar stools lifted up on the counter, mopping the floor. I'm like, this is crazy, but it is what it is now, and I'm thankful that we get to play some places. I wish we could get in more.
Be happy you're still out there. And still
sure.
relevant. There's, and I've seen people just post. I'm throwing in the towel. I'm done with this business. I can't feed my family on it. I can't do the things. There's a lot of full-time musicians out there, and there's also a lot of musicians who have, as I like to refer to them, their real job, and
right.
then they end up playing music on the weekends or a few nights a week and all that. And you've seen a lot of them even back off to try to give gigs to the guys that are out there playing, and they're the full timers, so that they can feed their families. And there's a lot of cooperation going on, a lot of love going on, but there's also a lot of turmoil with this, and COVID's making the world crazy, let alone the music business. So,
Oh, I know.
yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to not be a part of any of the drama that's gone on. I've heard about it here and there. I don't really know about it, but I just love playing music, and I do know that there are some people out there, who and they've thrown me gigs even during this time. Said, "Hey, we're not able to do this," or they're looking for a different style of music that I don't do. Why don't you reach out? I gave them your name and think you guys could do it. So there is still some good camaraderie out there for sure, but I think the turmoil and different things, I mean, that comes in with any business over time.
Right.
Just people are like that in general.
It does, but it's heartwarming to see musicians do that for each other and then come together at some of these benefits we've had. And then also, the venues who are collaborating with other venues just recently locally here had, a 4 or 5 venue stop where you got a stamp on a card and those kind of things. So you had to bounce around to them to be eligible to win some prizes and things. So there's a lot of cooperative efforts going on out there, and people are doing everything they can to be creative to overcome this COVID crisis. And when I say crisis, that's probably an understatement at this point. They're scrapping to survive, and we're happy to help them anytime we can. And lots of things going on, Geoff. We have an unlimited amount of things to talk about here together.
Oh, we could go on for days and days and days about just our little local music community and what we do and different things like that. So, but you were playing earlier. One of the guys Kevin McCoy.
Yeah,
you were playing some of his stuff earlier.
Local artist out of the Cincinnati area. Kevin has been working in Nashville with some extremely talented and important writers and writers groups, co-writing songs. He's recently released 2 songs, which I dearly love. One of them called Blue Collar and the other one called Moonlight. And we've been playing that on our show at the end of the show, along with a lot of other artists that have their stuff out. Until Rust, Jordan Wood, our old pal Don Pruitt, and Jamie. We've been playing some of their music. So there's a lot of people taking advantage of this when they have some downtime to put their music down on CDs and available on all the platforms. And Kevin McCoy's is out there for your picking. And
maybe that's one thing we can do is we can throw a little link down there to everybody's music. Throw Jamie's and Kevin's and whoever else you think. We could throw it down in the description and give them a link so that way they can go and find it. Right. And get these guys out there.
Before we go, I've got a little clip of Moonlight from Kevin McCoy. Let's just listen to a couple bars of this if we can, and listen to the production factor on this out of Nashville. I mean, this is amazing when it comes into his vocal. His vocal's so clean and crisp. So I'll play just a second or two of it here for you, okay?
All righty.
Lying so close to you tonight, feeling your heart
sounds good
with mine.
Yeah,
I wouldn't play too much. We'll get struck down.
yeah, let me kill that down.
That might be too much already. Who knows?
And I think it's about 30 seconds, so we might be all right. But that's Kevin McCoy and Moonlight there. For those of you watching the show, you can find his pages on social media at Kevin McCoy Band, and all those things. So we'd love to have you.
Who's he writing with? Or where did he record that, I guess? And do you know who he's writing with?
I don't have it in front of me, but he's been writing with people who've written for extremely big superstars in Nashville and co-writing with them. And, people like Kid Rock and that produce him and write songs for him. And I can go down the list of a bunch of people, but it's cool. And I'm glad to see somebody getting those opportunities. And Kevin, he's very loyal and faithful to his band here locally. The guys that play with him, Lee Dixon, a great player, and Catfish, and all those guys that are playing with him. But just a cool vibe from Kevin McCoy, and we've got a lot of that we can share with people. And we'll have to see what we're allowed to get away with playing music. Now, he is, that one may be published and might get a might get a flag, but some of our local groups, we can get away with playing a little bit more music of theirs since they don't have publishing rights on it yet.
Good, good. Yeah, and so, I mean, I go down to Nashville frequently, and I know you go down there quite a bit too, don't you?
Absolutely love Nashville. Cool.
So, do you know where did you say where he recorded that?
I don't have it in front of me. I had it written down, but it's not here in front of me, so I can't really quote it.
Yeah, I mean, we went down. We finally got to do a tour of Studio B and all that. That was because we've been down. I can't even count how many times at this point, but never got to do the Studio B, and we finally got to do that. So that was pretty cool. I don't know
awesome?
If you've ever been there. So
oh yeah, standing on the spot that Elvis recorded his music. I mean, it's priceless.
Oh yeah, and I love that place. I just besides the music and being a musician, just going down and watching the musicians and getting to meet people. And I grew up in Kentucky, only a couple hours from there, and it just reminds me of being back there, the Southern hospitality and talking to everybody, and you can have a conversation for 45 minutes in some little store for no reason whatsoever, just because,
Yeah.
So,
or you go into a venue and you talk to the bartender and you find out, oh yeah, I play 3 nights a week here, there, everywhere. They're musicians, but they're working to try to make some money in a bar or whatever, and then they're turning around and inviting you to their show. So it's a cool town, Nashville is, and whether you get if you get off Broadway, it's even better, I think.
I try to stay away from Broadway.
Check stuff. Broadway's kind of commercialized and all that. We won't knock it because that's where they make their money and their income for the town and all that. But I've spent many a time on Broadway and loved the music I've heard. And walked by some of the windows and heard people playing and said, oh, that voice sounds familiar. Walk in and there's somebody we used to know from Dayton, Ohio, playing in Nashville and on the stage.
We were when we were down there, we went down with the guys from Route 88 and all the wives and everything, and they had never been down there before. So we did a couple of them hadn't been there. So we did the Broadway thing, and I mean, it was fun. It is so different. You got to have a table in order to get in.
Right.
You have to be seated in the honky tonks on a Saturday night.
Where it used to be elbow to elbow.
Yeah, you couldn't even walk to get to the bar. It would take you 40 minutes just to get a drink. And now you're just spending all that time standing out on the street. So I personally like doing the singer-songwriter stuff, going to, Second and Lindsley and Belcourt Tap, some of the smaller places too. Never been able to get into Bluebird, but some of those places like that. I mean, I like that.
Well, Geoff, we've hit about 20 topics today that are teasers for future shows and future talk here. I think that's great. We've got a lot to talk about, man.
I know. Well, I think let's see. We've recorded. We're a little under. We've probably hit about 30 minutes, actually, total record time, But,
so what else you got to talk about today? Anything?
I don't know. I did write down some. Yeah, I did write down a few topics, different things. But we can. I don't know if you want to save that for another. Make sure we get this all squared away and keep this one kind of short.
Well, this is kind of our inaugural address, I guess, to the masses out there. And we are going to post this on numerous platforms, links to it to YouTube channels. You've got all kinds of stuff going on your end, I know.
Yeah, so that's what, we'll get it posted, your Facebook, and we can post it on our Facebook, or maybe we create a Facebook account. Who knows? And then, of course, get it on YouTube. And then we'll put the links to everybody's stuff, all the musicians and different things like that. And then if you are a musician and you want to be on here, hit us up. Let us know. Send us a message and say, hey, I'm free, because we can do this whenever, wherever.
And we can bring people in and make them part of the show. And I think that's where the future goes with this. And during these times where people can't get out and socialize together or be in the same room to do an interview, which I struggle with, which I like to do with people, and I can't right now because it's just not working out to do things like we did the 3 Chords in a Story platform where we were having 3 musicians play and do a round table thing, and that's just not working out with the social distancing in the bars. So this is another avenue for us to bring our thoughts to you. And we don't claim to be experts. We claim to be two guys having a chat.
That's it.
That's what we're doing.
Just talking. So
and that's what I like. I always enjoy talking with you, Geoff. You're a wealth of knowledge.
You too, Scott. Thanks. Appreciate it. And thanks for everything you do. I know you do a lot, and I know it keeps you busy. And, you know, I'm sure you don't get, I know you get lots of thanks from lots of people, but I know you probably get some hate mail. Just don't read the comments. That's what it is, right? Don't read the comments. That's what they always say. So
that's true. There's a lot of truth to that. For everything good you do, there's people who will not like it, and that's okay, because that's what makes us free country and people to have their opinion. So
absolutely. So, but yeah, we appreciate, you know, going out and hitting everybody up and trying to get out and see everybody and
boy, that's
everybody
hard.
Shout outs.
That's a whole show, man, because I used to love to bounce around to different places, and now if I get to one, like you the other night, I hated to leave, but I had to get down the road to see Short of Stable, and you know, they've been so supportive of what we do too. So
I get it.
I like to get out and at least say hey and hear a few songs. And got to hear your first set, which was great, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, and that's typically when I see you come in, I'm like, oh, he's here early, so he must be heading somewhere else later. Or it's the other way around. They always say, oh, there's Scott. He must have been somewhere before he came here.
Yeah, pop in late or something. But yeah, it used to be until 1 o'clock you could hit 3 or 4 bands, and now it's not. It's you're lucky to get 2 if you get that.
Yeah, you only get a few hours to play, so.
That's right.
But
well, anything else, Geoff, today? I think this has been great, man. I love it.
I think this is good for a start. So maybe we can just keep this coming and keep on a roll and maybe making it better, and maybe eventually we'll do it in person. That might be
even better.
An easier way to do it. So, but we'll see.
And, you know, if you're watching this, guys, this is our first one. Bear with us on some of the technology things, and we'll get this refined. But send us your topics. You can send it to Geoff via Route 88, or you can send it to me via Haul Around Town Radio. Follow our pages and see us post this stuff, but send us your ideas. And if you've got a topic we should talk about, we'll do it.
You can hit us up on Instagram. I don't personally do Facebook, but you know, I do Instagram, so you can hit us up on Instagram as well. And me anyway on Instagram. I don't know how much you check yours, Scott, but
yeah, I mean, I get notified if I get messages on any of them, so any of the platforms, and certainly we'd entertain you to message us on any place you see us and say, hey. I don't know if you guys do instant messaging on like Route 88's page.
Some people do, I pretty much. Yeah, I handle most of Route 88's page as well. So
yeah, they can reach you there. They can reach you on Instagram. Our ticker's running underneath us about where to follow us on Instagram, and we'll get our YouTube channels up as well on the next show, so you'll be able to go subscribe to our YouTube channels and watch some of the content we're throwing out there.
Yep. All right. Until then, I guess we'll see everybody later.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll see ya.
Bye-bye.